You're not going to believe this, but a janitor who lived in a tiny town quietly became a multimillionaire. No lottery win, no fancy business, no guru hacks, just a dude, a broom, and a mindset that would embarrass half the hustle culture today. Let me tell you the story of Ronald Read, because once you hear it, you'll rethink every excuse you've ever made about money. So picture this, a calm, quiet guy in Vermont. Drives an old, beat-up Toyota. Works as a gas station attendant for years. Later, he becomes a janitor at JCPenney, and he sticks with those jobs for decades. Nothing about his life screams millionaire. In fact, if you walked by him on the street, you'd probably assume he had 20 bucks in his pocket. Max. But here's where it gets wild. When Ronald passed away in 2014, the people around him expected, a simple goodbye, maybe a small savings account. Instead, this man had over $8 million. Let me say that again. A janitor, $8 million. People literally thought someone made a typo. So how does a guy sweeping floors and pumping gas end up with a fortune that influencers flex on Instagram? It all came down to two things most people ignore: patience and being smarter than your lifestyle. Ronald Read wasn't chasing trends. He wasn't day trading. He wasn't trying to flip anything. The guy didn't even care about looking rich. He wore the same flannel shirts for years and drove that old Toyota until it basically became part of his identity. But while he was living simple, he was doing something most people never do. He was quietly buying stocks in strong, boring companies. Not hype stocks, not to the moon stocks. Companies that have been around forever, the kind your grandpa probably respects. He'd buy, hold, reinvest the dividends, and go back to work like nothing happened. No drama, no emotion, just decades of letting compound interest do its thing. And the thing is, Ronald wasn't some hidden genius. He didn't study finance. He didn't have a mentor teaching him strategies. He literally taught himself by reading library books and newspapers. This is why his story hits so hard. He wasn't lucky. He was consistent. Every paycheck, invest a little. Every year, hold a little longer. Every dividend, reinvest it, repeat, for over 50 years. And while everyone around him tried to look successful, Ronald was becoming successful. Silently, patiently, relentlessly. Here's the part I love the most. When his will was revealed, people found out he didn't just keep the money for himself. He donated millions to the local hospital and library, the same library where he used to read about investing. Imagine that. A man the world ignored ended up changing the future of his entire community. And that's the real lesson here. You don't need a glamorous job. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need a million followers. What you do need is discipline, patience, and the courage to live below your ego. We live in a generation where everyone wants fast success. Everybody wants the shortcut. But Ronald Read proved the quiet path still works. You can start small. You can be underestimated. You can be the person nobody sees coming and still build a life beyond what anyone expects. So if you're sitting there thinking your situation disqualifies you, or your job isn't fancy enough, or you don't have the right network, take a breath. You're not out of the game. You might be one consistent decision away from building something massive over time. Ronald read newspapers. You can read books, watch videos, take courses, learn online, things he never had access to. He invested tiny amounts. You can invest with apps that literally let you start with a few dollars. He kept going for decades, and you can too, but with way more tools than he ever had. His story isn't meant to impress you. It's meant to wake you up. Because if a humble janitor can outwealth people with degrees, connections, and better jobs, then you have no idea what you're capable of yet. If this story hits you even a little, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs a push. And if you want more stories like this, you know what to do. See you in the next one.